All right. Welcome back to the DeVory Darkins Show. It is November 18th, Tuesday. And we're back home. I was out of the state, had to go do a podcast with Tim Pool. Great team. Then did a podcast last night with Myron and Fresh on the co-host of Fresh and Fit podcast. We also did an interview. It's on the YouTube channel, by the way. I think it's a great interview if you want to kind of know a little bit more about me, my story, my beliefs, because, I try to keep that all to a minimum as we're going through these stories. You guys know me. I like the bottom line, of course. If you guys want to take the time out to go check that out, it's on the YouTube channel and Rumble. You guys can see it for yourself. I think the interview is about an hour long or so. A lot of great topics. And just so you guys understand, if you're new here, this is all about common sense commentary. During these uncommon times, we show you both sides of the story, give you the full picture, and encourage you to make up your own mind and think for yourself. Exercise critical thinking skills. Now, obviously, this story we just can't escape. No matter how hard we've tried to not talk about this, listen, we talk politics, so we're slave to whatever is in the news, and that is the Epstein stuff. So the House of Representatives, they are voting on that as we speak, or they're getting around to it any minute now. More than likely, it will pass as they had assumed or have assumed. And I think what you guys should understand, bottom line up front, is because in our climate today, there's so much noise about what's going to happen and who did this and that and how it works. And people get lost in what actually is going to happen. So let me tell you guys the process just briefly here. One, House of Representatives are going to have to vote on this discharge, meaning they want to pass a bill that basically is the FBI and anybody else in the government, particularly the House Oversight Committee, to release every file they have on Epstein. Okay. Obviously, the problem with that is the FBI cannot release all of it because they would have to go to a judge to get some of it released. As you know, a lot of these files are actually under seal, okay? And there's nothing the FBI can do about that. They can continue to try to get the judge to do it, but ultimately the judge is the one who makes the choice. And we've already had 2 Democrat judges refuse to unseal documents. But again, nobody wants to tell you that. At any rate, once the House of Representatives pass this discharge, then it goes to the Senate, and they will have to vote on it. And once they pass it, then the president will sign it, okay? Even if all 3 agree to release all these files, and I'm just talking about the actual process, okay? That's what I said. There's a lot of rhetoric. At the end of the day, it still is up to a judge to release the files that have been sealed. Now, just imagine what information is in the sealed files, right? So keep that all in perspective as we go through that story. And then if we have time, we'll talk about the president as he's hosting Prince from Saudi Arabia at the White House today. That's interesting. Now, let me just start with this. So I was on the Fresh and Fit podcast last night. And if you guys didn't watch it, I don't want you to lose brain cells. Okay, so I won't, I guess, force you to watch it. But young adults today, I mean, they can barely speak. They cannot put 2 sentences together. I'm not saying that these women represent the entire generation, so let me clarify that. But having seen that show, which is a dating show, and what they do is they bring on these OnlyFans girls, and the whole point is to get people to see how women think and how men think, of course. And shout out to Myron and Fresh for having me, obviously. Great guys. Anyways, so I'm sitting there, and I just have this epiphany, like, these people are so removed from common sense that even if you tell them the sky is blue, they still think the sky is green. Like, that's how I felt. Now, I wasn't uncomfortable. I actually enjoyed myself. It was really fun. But it was also frustrating at the same time because I'm a guy that likes to I want to talk to someone intellectually, right? I want to, exchange ideas. I want to talk about solutions. You can't even talk about a solution because these women don't even know what the problem is, and they refuse to understand the problem. So that was kind of my experience, and it really reminded me and continues to inspire me to push common sense, to continue to encourage you guys to think. And you should turn around and encourage people around you to think. I'm telling you, it's almost a lost art today. Nobody wants to exercise common sense. Okay? What is common sense? It's being reasonable. Okay? It's not being partisan. It's not being tribal. It's looking at the objective truth. Okay? And focusing on the results. That's really what common sense is all about. Not overthinking it. Okay? Not being negative. Just calling it what it is. And it's truly lacking in our society. Now, we want our elected representatives, particularly the president, to enforce common sense, but only he could do so much. It's really on us on an individual level to continue to push that. And when I was raised, my adopted mother, I can't listen. If I had $1 for every time she said the words common sense, I would definitely be rich. Okay. Like I would have a lot of money. Let's just say that. That was like her number one term she always used with me. So my point before we get to the story here is continue to do the same thing. Continue to enforce common sense in your life. Continue to encourage people to think around you. Don't settle for this low IQ stuff. Don't tolerate it. Okay. And keep doing your own thinking. Okay. That's what my experience was. And the Tim Pool podcast, that was great too. We also talked about women for a bit and dating and low birth rates at this time, low marital rates at this time. Women think it's negative to have a boyfriend today. 30% of women are clinically depressed. I mean, that's another number that's really shocking. We can go on and on and on, but that was a great podcast as well. So we'll continue to do them as the time is permitted, but we're about to go into the holidays. So I'm not too sure if we're going to have anybody here physically or I'm going to go anywhere, but definitely next year, we're going to have a lot of people lined up. And so just stay tuned for that. All right. Now that I'm done talking your ear off, let's get to the story. So here is Marjorie Taylor Greene. Okay. And what she had to say at the press conference before this vote went down. And I just have to react to it. Let's take a look.
I only take people's actions seriously. No longer words.
And what do you think the president's actions?
And I'll tell you, because I wasn't a Johnny-come-lately to the MAGA train. I was day one 2015. And there's a big difference in those Americans and those that decided to support President Trump later on. And I'll tell you right now, this has been one of the most destructive things to MAGA, is watching the man that we supported early on, 3 elections, for people that stood hours, slept in their cars to go to rallies, have fought for truth and transparency, and to hold what we consider a corrupt government accountable. Watching this actually turn into a fight has ripped MAGA apart. And the only thing that will speak to the powerful, courageous women behind me is when action is actually taken to release these files, and the American people won't tolerate any other bullshit. That's where we are today. Thank you.
Okay. So I remember asking you guys whose side were you on and who do you agree with the most? Obviously, the president has shifted his stance now. He wants the files released. I think he should have been saying that from day one because it's something that he can't control. You know, that's just the reality. This story is bigger than him, anybody else, bigger than what we want to truly admit here. I mean, this is going on for what? This dates all the way back to 2008, technically. Okay, so this is a story that, for whatever reason, has had so much attention, much more viral than any other story out there as far as true crime is concerned, and because it involves powerful people. So having said all that, it makes sense why this won't go away. Now, there are plenty of issues to talk about, a lot of policy things that we need to address. The problem right now is Congress is swept up with this Epstein stuff. They're not voting on affordability right now. They're not voting on, cost of living or tax, anything of that, any policy right now at this moment that can improve the quality of our lives, they're not even taking that up right now, right? What has their attention right now is Epstein. Now, that's for better or for worse, but that is just the reality. Now, before I say anything else about MTG, I want you guys to listen to this really, really quickly.
I was called a traitor by a man that I fought for 6 years for. And I gave him my loyalty for free. I won my first election without his endorsement, beating 8 men in a primary. And I've never owed him anything, but I fought for him for the policies and for America first. And he called me a traitor for standing with these women and refusing to take my name off the discharge petition. Let me tell you what a traitor is. A traitor is an American that serves foreign countries and themselves. A patriot is an American that serves the United States of America and Americans like the women standing behind me. And I want to tell you that this only became possible today because the American people whom we serve as representatives here in Congress demanded that this vote happen, and they put...
Okay. Only time's going to tell if she truly believes all that. Because you have to understand, she changed her whole position on a lot of things just over the matter of over the past 4 months, 5 months. Before, she was agreeing with everything that the president was saying. Now she literally disagrees with almost everything. And there's some things that I disagree with the president on too. However, you could tell her tone has changed, okay? And you could tell that she's gone now, okay? She has completed her transformation. She's now, I think, what we would probably call Adam Kinzinger Republican now, a Joe Walsh Republican, almost a never Trumper in a sense. And here's the thing. I don't want people being loyal to one person, by the way, okay? You should be loyal to the U.S. Constitution. That's the first thing, okay? Because President Trump is going to leave the White House. What are you going to do after that? So the U.S. Constitution has to come first. And secondly, I think the president comes second because if it wasn't for him, we have to understand who would be in charge. It'd be Kamala Harris, which means progressives would be in charge. And I keep saying this to you guys all the time. Is there a line that the president must cross for you to say, I'm going to give power back over to Democrats? In a sense, I'm going to give power over to progressives. I don't think it matters whether you're left or right. I think we just got to look at the policies for a second. We know conservatives operate with a certain level of restraint. Conserve. Progressives, no restraint. They just want to let it all go. So I think, and I said this yesterday, this country is getting screwed. I guess the question is, how fast do we want to get screwed? If conservatives are in charge, which technically conservatives are not in charge, the president is not a conservative, clearly. So it'd be interesting to see what it'd be like under J.D. Vance, who I think is much more of a conservative. At any rate, what would be the difference between that and, an AOC? Okay, it's a vast difference, all right? So what does that have to do with Epstein? Well, according to MTG, she's made her decision. She's willing to die on this hill. She wants these Epstein files released, which everybody agrees on, by the way. I don't think anybody disputes that the files should not be released, okay? But the way that she's gone about it, clearly she is no longer supporting the president, okay? She's willing to fight with him on this, and I think in the end she's going to lose. Okay, unless there's something in the files that is going to blow everybody's socks off. Okay, I just don't think history has shown us when people go against the president who don't have history in Congress before he came around. They don't usually last. Okay, and that's the unfortunate part about tribalism. It's just just telling you guys the objective truth here. Okay, so. what is the bottom line here to what she's saying? Clearly, she's attacking the president. Clearly, she's calling him a traitor because he called her a traitor. And it's just going to continue to happen. And while this is all happening, you know what isn't? Our representatives are not focusing on things to improve the quality of our lives. They're not focusing on policies, okay? And I'm talking about the members of Congress. And I say this all the time. They are the source of the issue here. All right, so let's go to Speaker Johnson because he actually has some problems. He believes releasing these files are going to turn people into victims who really have nothing to do with this. They'll be guilty by association, according to him. He also suggests that releasing these files will leak national security information. Okay, so let's just stop there before I play the clip. So according to Johnson, there's national security information in these files. Why haven't you been saying that since day one? Why do you wait now? I think that is a great question. And it also confirms what people believe about Epstein, for the record. Okay, let's hear this.
The discharge petition could create new victims, okay? Because it requires the DOJ to release information even in cases where the DOJ or the FBI has already reviewed it and determined it is not credible. It is false information. Doing this and requiring this to come out could ruin the reputations of completely innocent people, such as those who have may just have known Epstein but knew nothing of his crimes, or whose names he exploited. Think of this, innocent people whose names he exploited and used to try to get close to his intended victims. Their names may be in these files, and they had nothing to do with this. And so by just haphazardly releasing it, you're going to destroy their reputations. Releasing information containing the names of innocent people would subject those innocent people to a guilt by association. It would create an entirely new group of victims who have no means to clear their names. That's a concern of Congress, and it should be. It should be.
Okay. Obviously, common sense would tell us we could care less about that. Okay. What about the victims, right? I mean, I think that's the only reaction to that. I don't care about whether someone was going back and forth with Jeffrey Epstein and they have nothing to do with his crimes. And let's say they get a little flack for speaking to him. Listen, let's just be honest about something. Representative Plaskett was live texting with Jeffrey Epstein during a congressional hearing, and I don't see anybody attacking her. The mainstream media is not talking about her whatsoever. Democrats are not even bringing it up. So save me the, well, you know, there's going to be some innocent people. Okay, we have someone right now serving in Congress who clearly, on tape, texting with this guy after he was convicted, by the way, not during, after he was convicted. You guys following what I'm saying? Okay. Well, why don't we go to what Hakeem Jeffries had to say about that exact point? Because I think you're going to find his answer interesting. Take a look.
Peter Jeffries. Why should Americans trust you and House Democrats on the Jeffrey Epstein files when one of your own, Congresswoman Plaskett, was found to be texting with Jeffrey Epstein during a hearing, getting information from him, using that in her questioning during a congressional hearing, and at one point he tells her, good job.
This is a bipartisan effort to make sure that, consistent with what the survivors have requested, that there's full and complete transparency, and every single predator who may be in those Justice Department files doesn't escape accountability. Thanks.
It's as if he didn't even hear her question. It's as if he did not hear what she asked him. This is the state of our politics today. This is why I'm totally disgusted. Stuff like this shouldn't even get to this level, okay? But it just goes to show that conspiracies can be true. A lot of powerful people on an island, messing around with kids and doing the devil's work. And these people that are in the positions of power are so powerful that it's been nerve-wracking to get these files released. I'm also of the belief that files have been destroyed. Okay? I'm also of the belief that some people during this investigation in multiple periods of time tried to compromise it. I mean, we can go down the conspiracy route, but I think the results tell you that there are true victims in all of this. That is real. Okay. There are Democrats using this for political gain. That is real. This has caused a big, well, I wouldn't say it's really a big thing, but I think Marjorie Taylor Greene would like it to be a big because it's going to get more attention. This fallout between her and the president. Okay. And what does that do for the American citizen in the end? Nothing. That does nothing for any of us. Now, again, for the people who really want to know the truth, we want this to, run its course. Files should be released. It's common sense. But I could tell you right now, this is a huge distraction for the administration, huge distraction for Congress. This is the one item in this entire administration that they dropped the ball on from a messaging point of view. And then when they drop the ball, they try to gaslight us and telling us, oh, there's nothing there. And that's just the wrong way to handle something like this. And because they failed to handle this properly, it has given Democrats the momentum and control of the narrative. That's exactly what took place, just from a political standpoint, because it's a game at the end of the day to them. And Pam Bondi pretty much threw a pick six. So we're going to see what happens. Again, I don't think these files are going to really do damage to the president. I think these files will do much more damage to people who have donated to his campaign. I think they will do much damage to Democrats themselves. Whatever files that, can provide information, right? Because again, I think some of them have been destroyed. Okay. Let me catch up with you guys in the chat here. We're on YouTube right now. Hit the like button, guys. If you find value in this show, the best way to support it is to do what? Like, share, and subscribe. I continue to notice people who were subscribed to me on YouTube are no longer subscribed. For some reason, YouTube's been doing this. So make sure you're subscribed to me, okay? Anyways, let me just say this really quickly too, because I also think this is another angle, and I want to get your guys' thoughts about it. Because I don't think the president, there's a part of me that still refuses to accept that the president is that stupid, okay? So maybe he is fighting this because once again, he is baiting Democrats into focusing on the wrong thing. So while Democrats are focusing on Epstein files, they're not focusing on affordability. They can't do both, okay? We know Congress can't do two things at once. So while they're caught up in all of this, and they just got back into session after the government opened up, they have not been talking about ACA subsidies. I thought that's why you guys shut down the government. What happened? You guys were inflicting pain on innocent Americans, and now you have nothing to say? See, that's why I'm saying there may be an angle here where the president has baited the party into doing what they've always done. He makes a move, he makes a choice, he says something, and he puts them in a position where they end up, again, making a terrible mistake. Again, I think he's really the leader of their party because they react to everything that he does. That might be an alternative angle here. Okay. I'm just giving you guys full picture. It might be possible. Okay, let's see here. What you said about MTG is a lie. She is only responsible to her, I think you meant to say constituent, and the Constitution, and not anyone who does not honor their promises and Constitution is not worthy of supporting. Okay, so let's exercise critical thinking skills. And let's count on our hand. How many things has the president not fulfilled his promise on? You guys give me a number. Let's go through this together. Okay? I want you to remove emotion and focus on the objective truth. How many promises can you count that the president has not fulfilled? Just give me a number. I would love to know. I'm seeing 0 right now. I'm seeing 0. 1. Okay. Yep. That's much more fair. 0. 0. Even on Rumble, we got zeros. We got 1. We got 4. 0. 3. Okay. So the number I'm seeing the most is 1. Okay. And let's bump it up to 2. Let's say Epstein files, Ukraine, no, let's go with 3. Let's do 3. Okay. Let's be brutally honest right now. As of today, November 18th, what promises has the president not fulfilled? Ukraine-Russia war is still going on. Costs have not come down. Okay. It's just the reality. Let's just call it what it is. Gas has come down, eggs have come down, but overall, costs are still up, okay? And he didn't cause that to happen, by the way. And then number 3, Epstein files. Okay, so let's go with 3. Can we agree on 3? Is that fair? Can we agree on 3? All right. Now, let's go to the promises that he made during his campaign here, and let's count the promises that he has fulfilled. Did he seal the border and stop the migrant invasion? Yes. So that's 1. Is he carrying out the largest deportation operation in American history? He's already surpassed those numbers. Over 2 million people have been deported this year alone. So that's number 2. Number 3, did he end inflation? Yes. But has he made America affordable again? No. And that goes to what we already said. That's 1 of the 3. Okay. Inflation has definitely come down. There's no question about that. Make America the dominant energy producer. He has done that. Stop outsourcing and turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower. You could say, nah, he hasn't gotten there yet. He's laid the groundwork for it, but still a lot of, he's secured a lot of investments. So let's say that's a push. Large tax cuts for workers and no tax on tips. He did that as well. Okay. Defend our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and our fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the right to keep and bear arms. I don't see anybody getting canceled at this moment in time. Okay? So there's that. Prevent World War III, restore peace in Europe and in the Middle East. Build, let's say, no, he hasn't really done that. End the weaponization of government against the American people. You know what? Let's just give that to people on the left. Nah, the government is still weaponized. Okay, let's just go with it. Stop the migrant crime epidemic, demolish the foreign drug cartels, crush gang violence, and lock up violent offenders. I think he's absolutely doing that. The problem is these Democrat mayors are continuing to fight him every step of the way. But we saw crime come down in D.C. We saw crime go down in Memphis. Okay, crime dropped in Chicago, and now they're in Charlotte. Rebuild our cities, including Washington, D.C., make them safe, clean, and beautiful again. He did that. Strengthen and modernize our military, making it without question the strongest and most powerful in the world. Yeah, Pete Hegseth is on that. Keep the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency. I would probably table that because the value of the dollar is continuing to erode. There's no question about it. Just look at the price of gold. That tells you everything. Fight for and protect Social Security, Medicare with no cuts, including no changes to the retirement age. Yeah, that's true. The retirement age is still the same, and the only cuts to healthcare is Medicaid, not Medicare. Okay, cancel the electric vehicle mandate. They did that already. Cut funding for any school pushing critical race theory, radical gender ideology, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our children. He did that. Keep men out of women's sports. He did that. deport pro-Hamas radicals and make our colleges, campuses safe and patriotic again. He did that, and in some cases, people argue he crossed the line on a couple of people, but he definitely attempted to do that. Secure our elections, including same-day voting, voter ID, paper ballots, and proof of citizenship. He's already signed the executive on that, but our Republicans, they have no spine, so the chances of that actually getting voted on probably isn't going to happen. Unite our country by bringing it to new and record levels of success. Okay. So if we count, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So, even if I give you guys 4, he's accomplished 12. This is why we have to do our own thinking, ladies and gentlemen. This is why I'm saying, when you're thinking from emotion, it's easy to get caught up in the moment. So the president, within 10 months, has already accomplished 12 out of the 20 promises that's on that sheet. 12. That means more than half. It's just perspective at the end of the day. It's just perspective. Now, that does not excuse, again, their handling of this whole Epstein stuff, because it's mind-blowing to me. But we got to look at the full picture here, okay? All right. Listen, I'm not using emotional emotive narratives. Let me read this comment to you guys. Are you going to give us homework to teach? Are you using emotive narratives to make us trust Trump again? No way, no sell, impeach. I'm not telling you to trust Trump. I'm not telling you to support him. I'm showing you what the facts are to the case. You make up your own mind. If you want to think from a place of emotion, go ahead and do that. I choose to just look at the full table here. The reality of the situation. They have failed on handling the Epstein files, which has given Democrats the ability to own the narrative regarding that. That's what's happened. But at the same time of that happening, he's also fulfilled 12 of his 20 promises. You don't have to like that. That's just a reality. And people have amnesia. So it's like, people forget what Biden did to this country. People forget that. And that's the why American voters are hypocrites at the end of the day, because they have short-term memory. They have short-term memory. It's only been 10 months and people are acting like, oh my God, it's a failed presidency. Okay. If this is a failed presidency, then what was Biden's presidency? Okay. If this is a failed presidency, then what would Kamala Harris's presidency would have been? See, this is what people don't want to do. They don't want to think. They just, it's easier just to go with the narratives and the emotions and to be tribal. That's easy to do. It's easy to pick sides. It's not easy to be nuanced. No one wants to do that today. Common sense requires you to be nuanced at times. Here's what Speaker Johnson also had to say.
Number 5, national security concerns, okay? The discharge requires the Attorney General to release within 30 days, quote, classified information to the maximum extent possible. This ignores the principle that declassification should always rest, and always has rested, with the agency that originated the intelligence. Why? So that they can protect their critical sources and methods. It is incredibly dangerous to demand that officials or employees of the DOJ declassify materials that originated in other agencies, in intelligence agencies. I could go on. I won't be here all morning, but there's a lot of problems.
Yeah. So he had this whole board, and there was a list of problems that he had with releasing these files, and he'll have to answer for that, obviously, because the files are going to get released, okay? They're not stopping this train. But my only beef with Speaker Johnson in those remarks is, why didn't you say that January 21st? Or, March 1st, okay? after it became clear that Bondi said there's nothing there. So again, they're trying to figure this out, and I think the easy thing for them to do is just stop playing games. You lost on this one, and just release the files and let the chips fall where they may. Now, before we continue, let's hear this message from today's sponsor, Tax Network USA. All right, now here's a very serious question. Do you owe money when it comes to back taxes? Are your tax returns still unfiled? Did you forget to file for the extension? The October 15 deadline is fast approaching. And if you haven't done anything, the IRS could target you. What does that look like exactly? Well, they could garnish your wages, freeze your bank account, even seize your property. But help is available if you reach out to Tax Network USA, which is a nationwide firm responsible, by the way, for saving over $1 billion in tax debt for everyday Americans. They filed hundreds of thousands of tax returns, reducing people's tax burden, and they probably could help you too. And that's why I say don't wait. Go to tnusa.com/DeVory or call 1-800-958-1000. Speak to a consultant. It's 100% free, by the way. This could save you thousands of dollars, especially if you feel like you may or maybe you don't have a tax burden. But speak to the experts. Again, that is tnusa.com/DeVory or call 1-800-958-1000. All right. Okay. So reading your guys' comments is a great reminder of what's wrong with our country. People are too emotional. That's the problem. People are too emotional. And if you're thinking with your emotions, you're going to have problems. And that's not to say that your emotions are not valid. But guys, we got to get out of this tribalism. That's what's killing this country. Tribalism has created a condition where if I disagree with you politically, I'm ready to throw you off a cliff. I'm ready to cut you out of my family. I'm ready to fire you from my work, right? Of my company. I'm ready to cancel you. That's what we do to each other. And it's not left versus right. The right does it to each other. The left does it to each other. Now, no one's going to talk about this stuff because it isn't sexy. This isn't going to get clicks. I'm not asking questions and creating conspiracies. That will get clicks. Okay? Someone's got to tell you guys. Rise above this emotional behavior that the politicians want us to continue to obviously live our lives by because they benefit from this stuff. They want us arguing. They want us cutting each other off. They want us attacking each other. And it's not going to help this country. So what do we do about it? We become, we have to increase our level of awareness of what's happening in Congress. Okay? We got to continue to call out the nonsense. Stop living in this Kim Kardashian reality on Capitol Hill, and let's get to doing the people's business. That's what we got to call out. And if we don't do it, they'll just keep doing this. They will just continue to do this. All right, one more clip for you here. This is actually, no, I want to show you guys something, and then I'll show you this clip. Let's go. Let me fix this here. I'm going to show this to you guys. I think you'll enjoy it. Hold on. Here we go. All right. I think you guys can see this now. Okay. So Representative Stacey Plaskett, right? She has muted comments on her profile. You can't leave a comment. She might as well just shut down her profile, in my opinion. You can't leave anything. You see that? Here you go. Yeah. So again, we don't hear anything about her. She's good, I guess. Right? She's fine. And that continues to show the level of hypocrisy. Okay? The level of hypocrisy. That's why I said I don't truly believe in my heart of hearts that any member of Congress truly cares about getting justice for the victims. They are wrapped up in this tribal game. If they cared about the victims, they would have addressed this 4 years ago at a minimum. As soon as Jeffrey Epstein went to prison or Maxwell went to prison, they should have been on this, like white on rice, calling everybody out. But both sides didn't do that. And I'm not telling you guys anything you don't already know, but there's just too many powerful people involved, obviously. And it continues to show you that the younger generation makes a great point. They don't care about the elites. They think elites have failed us. We're watching that play out in real time. See, that's why I understand their frustration, because the results continue to show that Congress is not in the business of doing anything for us. They're in the business of protecting themselves. And listen, say what you want about Marjorie Taylor Greene, but she can continue to come out and say what she's going to say, but she's just as guilty as the rest of them. This lady was broke as a joke when she came into Congress. Now she's worth $25 million. I don't want to hear it. She holds, you can look up her stock portfolio. It's all public information. She holds stocks and tests all this stuff. It's all public information. So she's just as corrupt as the rest of them. She can try to act like she's not, but you've already got rich. Okay. So now you're trying to act like, oh, you know, I'm just trying to do the right thing. Doing the right thing would have been introducing a bill to make sure that you couldn't profit as a member of Congress. And by the way, that Pelosi Act still hasn't been passed. They've been repeating that bill every single year. Why haven't they passed that yet? Because they don't care about doing the right thing. They want to make money for themselves. They're obviously, a lot of them, controlled. Some people say they're controlled by Israel. I just think they're controlled by their donors. Slave to their donors, special interest groups. You want to throw Israel in there, go ahead. And anybody else who's donating to their campaign. No question. No question. And see, that's the appeal that President Trump had, because we know a lot of his money came from me and you. That was a difference in his campaigns. But obviously you can't ignore that Elon Musk gave him $250 million. And you can't ignore that, and I don't know her name, but she is obviously a big pro-Israel woman, gave him $200 million. Even with all of that, he still never even generated the same amount of money that Kamala Harris did. But I'm picking hairs at this point. The bottom line to this update today, guys, is we should be calling out our elected representatives for the frauds that they are. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. This isn't blackpilling. This is common sense. Speaker Johnson, you have failed the American people. Marjorie Taylor Greene, you have failed the American people. Hakeem Jeffries, you have failed the American people. All of you have. Because instead of doing the people's business, instead of passing pieces of legislation, you guys shut the government down for over 40 days over something that you didn't even get what you wanted in the end. Then you're threatening to do it again next year, January 30th. And then when you finally come back to work, what are you guys focusing on? Epstein files. And when a member of your party is proven to be live texting with Epstein, you have nothing to say. It's disgusting. It's craziness. And if I'm the president, I'd be upset too. I'd be upset at Pam Bondi. No doubt about it. And I would be frustrated because we let Democrats own the narrative. Listen, when Chris Cuomo was saying this, I think there's a point to be made.
The left is saying it's all about the victims. I don't buy it, okay? It wasn't about the victims wanting transparency and you wanting it for them during the Biden administration? Or before that, when like only 2 of you ever asked about it? Oh, wait, hold on. The Maxwell investigation was still going on. We couldn't release anything. Who's going to believe that? So no other investigation could go on of other people at the same time that Ghislaine Maxwell was being investigated? Really? Anyone supposed to believe that?
That's my point. That's why I don't buy what she's saying. I don't buy anything what they're saying. These people are professional liars. Okay? That might be a little, pessimistic of me, but that's what the results show. That is what the results show. Now, some people believe she switched up because she switched up on Israel. I don't care what the reasoning is. The fact of the matter is she is profit as a member of Congress, just like every single one of them. They have not passed pieces of legislation that has improved the quality of our lives, not in this current session. Then Speaker Johnson comes out talking about this is the most productive Congress in history. Who are you gaslighting exactly? No, it's not. We've done this and we've done that. You haven't done anything. The president's the one who signed 1,000 executive orders. It's the president who shut down the border. You didn't do that. It's the president that literally had to force you guys to get this one big, beautiful bill passed. That's why I said Congress is inept. And the solution would be to just vote new people in. And because the people they have now, most of them, see, that's why I wish there would be a law that would be passed. It'd be term limits, no question about it. But they couldn't trade stocks whatsoever. Family members could not be a part of any NGO or contract with the federal government as far as them being on the board of directors. None of that. They need to be average and broke just like the rest of us. Because that's how you know they're going to do their job. That's how you know they actually care about serving the American people. These people go there to get rich. It's all a game to them. This is why politics is nasty, because it's not common sense driven. It's about power and influence and money. The founding fathers knows this clearly, which is why we have free speech and we have the Second Amendment. But I'm not too sure they could have calculated what we've come to as a country today. I'm not too sure they could have estimated that we would get to this point. I don't know if they factored this in. I don't know if they could. Maybe they realized they couldn't. So one or two things going to happen moving forward. This is going to accelerate. Congress and our country has already hit its peak, and we are on the decline. Or we are going to hit another peak again. And it's going to come through radical change, which I don't think is going to happen with millennials. I think the radical change is coming with Gen Z. You think me and you have zero patience? They don't even know what the word patience is. You think me and you are radical? No. Gen Z is the utmost radical. They care less. If it was up to them, they'd burn the whole thing down today. So one or two things are going to happen. This country is going to go through a radical transformation as boomers, say goodbye to this earth, and Gen X becomes the boomers of the time, and Gen Z becomes of age and starts running for Congress, etc. Or they start hitting the streets and rioting. One thing's for sure, we need to continue to focus on Gen Z, because they are the future leaders. I think people that are in Congress today, they're a lost cause. There's no convincing them. I think the people we truly need to spend time convincing and encouraging and influencing is a younger generation, because their minds are still open. You could still talk to them. But people who are 40 years old, you're not changing their mind. It is what it is. Unless they are a critical thinker like you, right? All right, let me answer some questions and then we'll move on here. Okay. Oh, we have a lot to get through here. Love it. All right, let's look. Stan is back, guys. Stan is a guy who likes to spend his time coming into my comment section and pretty much spamming us because he's so emotional. So we're not going to give you any energy. All right, let's keep going here. Some of the young people need to work more. Yeah, sure. But they need the right information too. Yeah, they would burn it down and then record a TikTok video of it going down. Exactly. Exactly. Congress has passed one bill of the president's agenda, the big, beautiful bill, and it took pulling nails to get it done. Exactly. Let's see here. Let me go over to YouTube because there's the guys in the chat way too much. AIPAC is not only running because they are also... Yeah, I don't know where you're going with that one. I have no idea what you are saying there. Trump and MTG is like Elon and Trump all over again. Yeah, I mean, I don't think this guy's going to hold a grudge. We know that. I think the only person he truly hates is Nancy Pelosi. I think that's the only person he's never going to forgive. Let's keep going here. Charlie Kirk was a good man who told society how to raise good, happy children with both parents at home, and he was murdered for that. Yeah, the problem in his situation is that he was murdered for telling the truth. This is why I said tribalism has caused that to happen. Okay? There are people who, if they watch my interview from yesterday or they watch this show today, they're gonna call me a bigot, a coon, a sellout. I'm licking President Trump's boots. That's what people... I get these messages all the time, just so you guys understand. And the fascinating thing is, I'm not too sure there's many... There's... I don't know how many commentators, but I would imagine maybe less than 5%, and I'm one of them, actually disagree with the president consistently. You know, I'm not too sure there's many. I would like to see a breakup of the two-party system in the United States. Right now, desperate interests and goals in the parties. Yeah, I agree. I mean, something's going to have to change. No question. But this is probably what's going to cause that change, right? There's got to be a storm that takes place first, okay? Yeah, so I think that's exactly what we're going through. Question, are we going to lose the midterms? We don't have an answer to that yet. History says we will, no matter what we do. History has shown 90% of the time, the party that is in the supermajority is the party that loses the midterms. Okay? We shouldn't have to have put pressure on President Trump. He should give up the files immediately and let the chips fall where they may. I agree with you. That's why I said I think it's one or two things. I think one, that is the scenario. Or two, he purposely did all this because he continues to dictate what Democrats do. Isn't it fascinating? Zerwan Mandani and Katie Wilson, who doesn't have a dollar to her name, lives at home with her parents, got elected as the mayor of Seattle. What does that tell you? That tells you people are not buying any of this anymore. People want results. So isn't it fascinating that Democrats are focused on this and not what just happened with Mondani and Katie Wilson? You'd think they'd be like, hey, we're going to just start tripling down on all of that. That's what I assumed that they would do. I think what's going to happen is they'll get around to it next year. Yeah, America will always find our way. I believe we will get through this. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, Larry Summers. I mean, there is a lot of people that we've already heard involved. CEOs that are billionaires that are not famous, obviously. Nobody really knows these people that were involved in this stuff. And it just goes to show, why haven't those people been prosecuted or investigated? That's why I'm with Chris Cuomo on what he said. Isn't it interesting that they already have the names of people who have been involved? The Oversight Committee already has the names. Are we following here? The FBI already has the names. So the real question is, why haven't they been investigated? That's why I said, it's a complete joke. They're going in front of a camera trying to make the American people believe, oh, we don't know anything. We're trying to figure out what's in the files. You have access to the files. What are you talking about? Oversight Committee has 20,000 pages from the Epstein estate. What do you mean? They act like they don't have anything, okay? It's crazy. So I think the bottom line to it all, just so we're all on the same page here, I think every single administration has its ups and downs. Every single administration makes a mistake. There's no question this administration's mistake was with the Epstein files, unless in the end we find out that the president purposely did all of this, okay? But as it stands today, Democrats, this is the one thing that they are united around. They thought they were united around the government shutdown, and we see how that turned out. So let's see how united they stay regarding this. We already have one Democrat caught up in the mix, which is why they continue to act like it never happened. So we'll see what happens. But as we move throughout this week, I can't promise you we're not going to talk about Epstein again if there's another major update. But just so me and you understand, I don't really want to talk about this stuff because what is the return on investment here? Okay. We're not getting anything out of this at this point. Even if they vote, yes, they still don't have access to the files, ladies and gentlemen. It still has to go to the Senate, and then it's got to go to the president's desk, and then they got to get a judge involved, and they already been denied twice by a Democrat judge appointed by Obama. So, like, can we just get to the results here, right? That's where I start to get a little impatient when we have to talk about this stuff. That's what I said. It gets into, reality TV show. So we'll make sure tomorrow we probably have something better to talk about. Something much more tangible, policy driven, but I can't promise. We'll see what happens. Okay, but I definitely think we should be calling out Stacey Plaskett. We should be calling out the hypocrisy. And we should be calling out on both sides. Okay. And we should we should be demanding them to get to doing work. This is not work. This is not what we voted. Like, guys, improve the economy. What are you doing? Yeah. So I don't think this is going to work for anybody, honestly. I think this is another mistake from Democrats. It sounds good in the beginning, but as time goes on, you start to realize, oh yeah, this is another game for Democrats, just like the government shutdown was. Okay. It is a game for them. I thought Affordable Care Act subsidies was Armageddon. I thought millions were going to die. That's what Bernie Sanders said. I haven't heard him at all. Where's he at? It's funny. Everyone was in front of a camera screaming about ACA subsidies just a week ago. It's as if it never happened. It's crazy. Crazy stuff. Okay. This chat is going to get rated on Rumble. I'm going to give you guys my closing remarks. So if you guys want to stick around for that, just circle back. This is going to get rated to the quartering. Yeah, we're going to have to get some moderators for Rumble because it seems like I am triggering a lot of people. Why else would I have so much spam and haters in my chat? I must have done something. I must have done something. Who do you think is behind that? Let's have some fun here. Who do you guys think is behind trying to crash this chat? I think it was like a week ago where they did it so much that the live stream was glitching out. Yeah, it's interesting. Okay. All right. Let's do this. Let's end this, okay? So I want to close with this. There are so many things in our country that we can be demoralized by. But there's a lot of things we should be encouraged by. This administration slowed, and in some cases blocked, the progressive policies that were literally going to drive this country off a cliff. Okay? And I'm talking about policies that impact our everyday lives. Not what's happening on Capitol Hill, but what's happening in your community, in your bank account, at your job, at your children's school, right? Those things that you experience every day. This administration in 10 months has slowed that down. And I think it's given us an opportunity to reflect and reevaluate how we are going to live our lives moving forward. I think COVID was a great wake-up call for parents out there. I believe most parents were asleep at the wheel. Then when COVID happened, they finally realized, wait a minute, what is my kid learning in school? What are they making these kids do in school? What is going on? Right? Now parents are more engaged than ever before. Before COVID, there were people in politics, but most people were living their lives. Before 2019, you weren't tuning into an NFL game to see the words "end racism" in the end zone. But somewhere along the line, God probably had it planned where, hey, you know what? I need to make people aware of what's going on here. Now, no matter where you go, politics is literally a part of the conversation. So instead of fighting against it, I think we should lean in on it, educate ourselves, exercise critical thinking, and then start making decisions to improve our livelihood, our communities, our homes, and encourage the people around us to do the same. I think we can complain until we're blue in the face, but I think what's more effective and a great use of our time is being a part of the solution. The solution always starts with you at an individual level first, right? And there's so many things that you could do. The one thing that I always think about is if I'm going to go out there and talk about politics, I need to be a great example of what I believe in. That's why I'm married. That's why I provide for my house. That's why I've worked so hard on myself to be the example I'd want to see. That's all you have to do. And if you're doing that, you're going to be optimistic about life, no matter what happens on Capitol Hill. Because you're doing things that you can control, which is yourself. So hopefully that party message rings true for a lot of you guys out there, and helps you to still focus on common sense at the end of the day. All right, so bottom line is, if you guys got value from the show today, please like, share, and subscribe as another reminder. If you like the show or you have particular questions, continue to comment in the chat because I do read them, by the way, unless somebody's trolling, of course. But more importantly, keep your head up, stay optimistic, stay focused. Don't get wrapped up in tribalism. Don't emotionally react to everything. We're about to go into the holidays. Can we have some fun? Can we live our lives? Can we enjoy our family? People just think what's happening on X is reality. No, it's not. You got a lot of people tapped in politically, reacting to everything. That doesn't mean the average guy walking down the street knows any of this. So as we go into Thanksgiving and, Christmas and all this other stuff, enjoy your life, okay? Don't get too wrapped up in this stuff. All right. What do I always say? God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Take care, everyone.